doing it?
It says the broadcast is live.
Hey, Jenny, how you doing?
Good afternoon, Rachel. I am really well, thank you. How are you?
Yes, not bad at all, thank you. Easter holiday craziness, but it's all good. It's all good. Yeah.
Oh, mine are looming. My Easter holidays Friday. So yes, this is my lunch break. Excellent.
Yeah. Okay. Well, welcome everybody. If you're watching us live, then do feel free to pop us comments and indeed questions so that we can have some more surprises about what you want to ask us. And if you're watching on replay, then do pop us a hashtag replay as well. And, you know, feel free to think of some questions for next time, because we'll be back in a fortnight, won't we, Jenny?
We certainly will. And I don't know how the weather is with you today, Rachel. It's gone a bit. It was beautifully, gorgeously sunny this morning, and I just looked out the window because I've been busy working. Just looked out the window. And it's like, oh, it's cloudy.
Yeah,
how did that happen?
Rain, miserable.
So we're here to bring some sunshine into your Wednesday lunchtime, aren't we?
Yes, we'll bring as much sunshine as we can, folks. I hope to brighten your day. I know it's going to brighten my day by talking to you, Jenny, so it's all good. We do have some. So hi to you all. Can't see who.
How exciting!
I don't know how you tell.
Do we? Oh, yeah, we can't. Can we not see who it is?
I don't know how to tell unless they make comments. I'm not sure how to tell, but that's fine. Maybe I'll learn as we go along with StreamYard how to use it better. I don't know. We'll see.
I think with StreamYard, you have to give StreamYard permission, don't you? To before you click on, you have to give StreamYard permission to share your name. I think is the way it works. So hopefully people will do that.
Some comments and questions from the people that will pop up, and then we'll see where we go. So in the meantime, I guess we should get started.
So we should. Well, I have a fabulous question, because when I was posting this morning, and we were talking about whether the Renny pairing was accidental or superb creation. So my question is, what's the best accidental outcome that's ever happened to you that you can think of?
Best accidental thing.
You know how we say sometimes, don't we, that the best things, it turns out to be the best thing, but it happened because of accident. It happened by accident. It wasn't intentional.
I've got a brilliant answer for that one. Meeting my husband. When I was, it was early days in the Air Force, and I was going through my training, and I was supposed to go for my training at a particular location. But the first part of that training, you had to spend a week or two learning the equipment, you know, because it was like, you know, really old fashioned Cold War era equipment in an underground bunker. And the place I was supposed to go, the training system was just a bit full. So they said, right, well, go to this other place because they've got capacity. They can teach you the kit. And then after 2 weeks, you'll go back to where you were supposed to go. And there should be a gap in the training system for you to join on the end. And so I went to this place up in Scotland, RAF Buchan, as it was, for anyone that knows it, near Peterhead. And yeah, I wasn't supposed to be there, but that's where I met Darren. And a few months later, I was invited by a mutual friend to go back to the summer ball, and the rest is history. And, you know, been married it's our anniversary next month, and I'm rubbish at mental maths. It'll be 16 years of marriage, and sort of nearly 20 years together. So yeah, definitely the best accident.
Oh, I think that's a really great story to share, and congratulations on your anniversaries. That's wonderful. I love stories like that. They're just great, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely heartwarming, isn't it? And it comes back to that whole meant to be. You know, like we were saying about whether it was an accident that we're now a pairing. Was it meant to be? Was it an accident? And I like to think there's a certain something about these things being meant to be.
Yeah, I love Meant to Be. And
Yeah.
so mine is a business story that just happened recently.
Yeah.
And I had as you know, I've been doing rebranding.
Yeah.
And so rebrand, and it's a big rebrand, so it's the
Yeah.
whole thing. And so there's quite a lot on. And I was going to a business breakfast, really early breakfast
Okay.
business networking, like 6 o'clock in the
Oh,
morning
blimey.
stuff. And I as ever, I was reading in the last minute the night before, reading the kind of
Oh,
what
Tracy,
what was supposed to
hi,
happen.
Tracy. Wave to Tracy. Sorry, carry on.
Tracy, it's really lovely to see you. So I was reading the instructions as to what was happening at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And they said, bring 60 business cards with you. And I suddenly thought, business cards. I haven't got any business cards because obviously I'm in the middle of rebranding. Oh
Rebrand. Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
what am I going to do? So I thought, I know, any port in a storm. So I use these in my coaching.
Okay.
And they're little cards, like this.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yes, I've seen them. Yeah.
they have a message on the back. Well, you write your message on the back, and you pop them open, and they have a quote
Yeah.
inside. So I frantically sat, thinking, well, because I'm the brilliance coach, it seems quite good to have shine
Yeah,
on there.
absolutely.
So I wrote a message on the back saying, with my contact details. I hand wrote details on the back. And I thought, well, that's the best I can do.
Oh,
I'll
but
just
did it
have to
work?
give it a go. And you know what? It went down an absolute storm.
Really?
And I was really worried that people would think that my handwritten message with my phone number and my website was unprofessional.
Yeah.
And what every single person said was, it was so personal.
Yes,
It
the
felt
personal
like
touch is so rare now. Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
and then somebody said, oh, but I bet all the messages inside are the same. And I said, no, they're not. They're all different. So when you get your business card, when you get your card, don't give it to anybody else, because this message is intended for
For
you.
you?
Um,
Oh, like that very much. That's a definite
and
happy
so
accident.
as a result of that, I've decided I'm not having business cards
Oh,
anymore. I'm just going to use these.
fabulous. Oh,
And
that's a
guess
brilliant
what?
outcome.
Oh,
Oh, oh my days, inspired life. That's me. Oh, Jenny, we need to talk about this. Yeah. You need to show me
so
those. Once we're finished, you need to
yes.
show me those. I need to know where to get them.
So they are, so sometimes, so I had gone in thinking, oh, people will think, I'm disorganized and I'm not this and I'm not that. And actually, what I learned was they were really different. People absolutely loved them. And when I said to people, they went, oh, you're the shine lady with the fabulous business cards. So it absolutely had a much bigger impact. So I thought, accidental. Oh, I'm gonna use that. So
Love it.
sometimes just things that are random and accidental, and you start off thinking,
They
oh,
can be the
not sure I
best.
want to do this, turn out to be the best thing ever.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Love it. Okie dokie. Right. My first question for you then. Who was your best boss and why?
That is really easy.
Ooh.
Well, actually, obviously, I'm my own boss. So,
Well, obviously.
uh, but no, my best boss was the most amazing lady called Professor Kim Manley.
Yep.
And she was my boss when I worked in research and development
Okay.
at the Royal College of Nursing.
Uh-huh.
And the reason she was the best boss ever was that she is incredibly clever.
Yeah.
And she sometimes she used to explain really complex things that would leave me thinking, I'm not absolutely sure what you meant there. But what she was stunning at was understanding her people in her team,
Yeah.
and being able to know what they needed. So
Yeah.
she was where I first came across the sort of calibrating high support and high challenge in
Yeah.
leadership, and and I've adopted it ever since because it works. But she knew whether you needed high support or high challenge,
Yeah.
and she was really, really brilliant at doing it. On one very memorable occasion, my mother was really, really unwell, and I had gone up for the weekend, and I was due to go back on Sunday night back to London for Monday morning, and I just couldn't. I
Yeah.
just couldn't do it. And I rang her and I explained the situation, and I said, I can't. It's just I can't do it. And she went, "Don't worry, I'll sort everything out.
Yeah, that's
You
what you
just
need, isn't
stay
it?
where you need to be." Um, and come back when when you can. Just keep me posted, and if you need anything, just call. I'll sort out everything, which she did.
Yeah.
um and she made it so easy for me to do what I needed to do at the time, at incredibly stressful time. um and there were many people um in the organization who kind of went, "Oh, that wasn't good leadership, it wasn't this, it wasn't that."
Yeah. Yeah.
But for me, I would have done I still would. Kim, if you ever hear this or watch this, I would still do anything for her,
Yeah.
because she gave me the most amazing support when I needed it.
Yeah.
She never questioned. She trusted me implicitly, as I trusted her. And I was absolutely devastated when she left.
Yeah.
And she's gone on to do amazing things. Um,
Understandable. If
but
she's so
she
amazing, she's bound to do amazing things. Yeah.
But that I think that kind of real understanding, and I say she was no pushover, but that being that a huge ability to be able to calibrate high challenge and high support in her teams was just, I think everybody who ever worked with Kim, I'll be very surprised if there's anybody out there who thinks differently. Come forward, but all of us would have gone to the ends of the earth and back for her.
Yeah, definitely. Fantastic. Love that. Something that comes to mind for me, it's a bit more detached actually, but it's something that has stayed with me for a long time. So when I first joined the Air Force, I had to spend, once I'd done my initial bit of training, I then had to spend a year in holding posts. Oh, we've got another watcher. Hello, I can't see what your name is though. Post what your name is. It just says Facebook user. So someone on Facebook is watching. Hello in the world, in the land of Facebook. So yeah, I had to spend a year doing what they call holding jobs, just things to, hold you over till you get to the next part of training. And I was lucky enough, because I did a job in RAF ceremonial, to meet the Chief of the Air Staff at the time, Sir Peter Squire. And I think it was another one of those meant to be things, because he inspired how I wanted to be as an officer as my career then went forward. Because not only did I have the chance to meet him, and he was a very, very nice man, but I spent a lot of time speaking to his staff officer, who just had so many great things to say about him. And it was things like, he remembered people's names, he remembered details, he remembered names, and he made people feel like they mattered. And I think when you're in a position like that at the top of the organization, I just found that really, really inspiring, that he believed it was important. He saw the importance of being a people person and looking after your people, and that just always really inspired me and has always stayed with me. So yeah, obviously he wasn't my direct boss by any stretch, but he was the big boss, but that just always inspired me. So worth a mention, I reckon. And I will just go back, Tracy mentioned when we were talking about the little shine cards that you used as your happy accident. She says, get a phone case with a QR code on it, which obviously you can have in your branding, and then people can photograph the case and get all your details. and send them to the link to wherever you want. What an idea. Might have to think about that.
And do you know, I don't know if our Facebook user may be the fabulous Lisa Newport. We can always
It
hope.
could be. Hi, Lisa, if it's
But
you.
she sent me a link which I haven't worked out how to use yet, but I will. So I could have a phone case with my new branding on it.
Oh, well, there
So
you go.
there you go. But I think there is something, Tracy, about the fact what people loved was the personalization, the handwritten.
And I have to say, there was a stage a little while back where I ran out of business cards, but I still had some, cards, cards that open that you can write in, that I would send to people. And so all I did was write inside them. It's been lovely to meet you today. Please, let's connect, Rachel. Sealed them all up, put them in envelopes that just said hi on the front. And people loved receiving them as a business card because oh, what's this? It caused excitement because it's different, because anything handwritten is just, well, it's more rare these days, isn't it? So, yeah.
It is. And coming to pieces. I also think that there is that thing. I mean, I love getting proper, snail mail, lumpy mail. I love it when people send you, cards and things. I love receiving them.
Yes.
So I love sending them. So I think there is something about that, sending cards. And I know, Facebook does that, wish your friends happy birthday. But there is something very lovely about actually still holding a card, isn't it? And I don't know about you, I have a drawer full of cards because I can't resist them. When I go into shops, I go, I'll have that card. And quite often I'll find a card for somebody and I think, oh, that's just them. That might not be their birthday yet, but I know, I'll save it. And then of course I forget where I've put it, so I have to buy them another one. But I do think there is something about that personalization of a card that people really enjoy.
Definitely
receiving.
So time for you to ask me your next question then.
It is. So I was going to ask you around color. So we were talking about branding and we were talking about, and obviously purple is something that figures in both of our but I was just wondering in terms of your favorite colors, do you use your favorite colors in your branding? Was there a decision? Did you just use them because you loved them? Was there a reason behind them? Do you know anything about, have you ever explored the kind of psychology of color? That's a very big question. I was just going to say, let's have a chat about color, what it means to you. What do you love about it?
Okay. So I pretty much chose purple because, I said to my graphic designer, the wonderful Anna Richards, designed by Anna, quick shout out for her. We discussed what colours I liked, and I said, I really want purple to be a feature of this, mostly because it's my favourite colour, but also because it's a colour, depending how you look at it, it can be sort of a bit of luxury. It can be sort of caring. There's obviously the psychology behind colour is fascinating, isn't it? And obviously there's different trains of thought on what it means, but it just it's a colour of well-being as well. So I mean, purple and green really were my two things I said to the graphic designer, specifically around kind of well-being, but purple was always the focus because purple's my favorite color. So it was a fairly simple decision in those terms, but there was definitely an element of it needed to fit with what I'm trying to achieve, what I'm trying to help people with. I think there needs to be some congruence with the colors that you use and how you put yourself across with what you're trying to achieve. Like bright fiery red, you think of all sorts of things. You think of sin, you think of love and lust, you think of danger. So I certainly wouldn't want to use bright red for those reasons, because it might give off the wrong impression. So I'm definitely a fan of choosing the colours carefully. I guess I was just quite lucky that the colour I wanted to use also seemed to fit. Another happy accident, you might say.
I was going to say, maybe it's that kind of the way you think and the way you want to be actually kind of draws you to those colours, isn't it? I guess. And I suppose it's very high in my kind of consciousness, having been doing lots of work with Lisa about colour. I've always loved colour, and I remember when I went to India on holiday, and looking at the sari silks and the combinations of colours they use. And when I was talking to the sari man in a shop, and he said, well, so often actually, he said, we draw on what occurs naturally in nature. And of course, what the light in India is particularly fabulous. And so the colours that happen are that naturally occur together are so vibrant and so beautiful and so unusual. So I kind of that was a long time ago, but that caught my attention. I'm always fascinated by putting unusual color combinations together and thinking, well, if it works in nature, it must work. It must work for other people, mustn't it? It must work for us. We can we're still part of nature. So I'm always interested when people are using colors, and whether they just went, oh, I just like that color, so I've used it. And of course, purple is higher, isn't it? It's your crown chakra.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did have purple hair. I can't at the moment because I still do work in the RAF reserves a little bit, a few hours a week, so I can't have purple hair in the RAF reserves. But I did have.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah. I suppose I could put some purple in mine, I guess, maybe.
Tracy said that people will think I'm a Wimbledon bod, green and purple. Yes, Tracy, that's exactly why you won't see any green in my logo. And I went to, when we first, graphic designer and I were working on logos, she put some together that were in green and purple. And I just said to her, no, it's Wimbledon. I can't have that. So it's purple and grey in the logo, but I do incorporate greens, but greens that tone with the purple deliberately to not look like Wimbledon. I even went on a website a little while back to have a look at what colours, kind of all about the colour wheel and everything, and what colours tone with the purple that I used, to make sure that there wasn't anything that was sort of clashing too much.
And that's the thing, isn't it? That what you want your brand, it's instant. Green and purple Wimbledon. You want that instant recognition, don't you?
Yeah, red and blue Tesco.
Yeah. Or British. I was going to say British Airways, but there you go.
Well, yes,
But I think it is that that's part of understanding, isn't it? And it's one of the reasons I've been having such a ball working with Lisa, is that kind of whole exploration of color and going, oh, can I do it? And really understanding why you're drawn to something and why you're not drawn to something else, and how how things fit together.
Tracy says she has her second favorite color in her branding, maroon and grey. So maroon is perhaps
very elegant, Tracy. Maroon and grey,
very elegant.
Very grown up. That feels like a very grown up color, maroon and grey.
Doesn't it? Yes. Very grown up, Tracy. We like it. So my next question to you then: who was the first band that you saw live?
Live, yes, live. So the first band I saw live was at Reading University, at a May ball, I think, with my first love. And it was racing cars, and they've probably, I don't know if they're still in existence, but their song that they probably most famous for, or the one that I remember them for, was called "They Shoot Horses, Don't They?" And it was a really slow, sad song, and it was just it's just beautiful songs. So if you get the chance, if you've got Spotify, go and listen to it. It's on my playlist still,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
I won't play it now. But it's a really lovely song. And of course, it was a great ball. It's one of those. It was the first, I was probably too young to go, if I'm honest, because I was only 16, and obviously everybody else was much
Yeah.
older. But it was the first ball I had been to that had, all night. You kind of,
Yeah.
you had, if for the
Yeah. All night till
stalwarts, they
breakfast.
served breakfast at 6, and you
Yeah.
danced all night. And it was very formal, and it was all, white tie, and it was just beautiful. And there were lots of different areas in the marquees that had different kinds of music, but they were the first band I saw live.
Oh, fabulous. Well, I was very fortunate to go and see quite a lot of live music when I was young. So I'm not 100% sure which came first, but I think it was my dad taking us to see the Shadows. Oh dear. So yeah,
Hank Marvin.
Hank Marvin, got to have a bit of Hank
Yeah.
Marvin, Bruce Welsh and the boys.
Yes.
So yeah, the Shadows were a big thing growing up in our house, as were, Status Quo, Queen. I was taken to see Status Quo as well. And the first one that I went to that was because I wanted to go, I'll never forget, my auntie took me to see Shakin' Stevens at about the age of 9 or 10 or something. I wanted to marry Shakin' Stevens. So yeah, that was quite a moment.
I wanted to go. I did go and see David Cassidy. You were either a Donny Osmond fan when I was, or a David Cassidy fan, and David was David Cassidy for me. But I never got to see him when I was young. However, he did do a gig much later on, and there were lots of people of a certain age.
Nothing wrong with that.
Going to see him, so I did get to see him live before he retired. So that was a great joy, even though I had long grown out of I don't still have David Cassidy posters on my wall.
Oh bless you, you don't really? Okay.
No, not anymore. I've moved on. But yeah, they were music plays such an important part in your life, doesn't it? And you realize how many
Definitely.
and when that's what I love about Spotify, because your playlists, and they can be so random. My playlists are very random, because I love lots of different kinds of music. So it's really great to be able to put all those together. And of course, I can never remember what order I put them in. So when I play them in the car, I have no idea what's coming next.
Yeah,
I love it. It's brilliant. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so it's your turn to ask me.
So my last question, because we were talking about holidays, coming up, Easter holidays. So my last question is, if you could choose any holiday destination for your next holiday, in the world, where would it be?
Now, it's very interesting that you should ask that, because my last question is, what's your favourite type of holiday? So yeah, we're on the same wavelength there, I think, Jenny. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
So, oh gosh, if I could choose any holiday destination in the world, where would it be? Oh, I do find that really hard, because I like different types of holidays. I love skiing and the cold, but I also love warm weather and really like exploring, particularly historical things. I think it's fascinating to be able to see things from the past. I would have to say, oh gosh, this is too hard. Oh, it's too much pressure.
It doesn't have to be a single center holiday. You could.
Oh, there's just so many. I might actually have to sit and write a holiday bucket list to try and narrow it down a bit. There are loads of places I'd like to go. I'd like to do things like the Rocky Mountain Railway, in the Rockies, but somewhere that's always really that I have been to that I just absolutely loved was Easter Island. It was
okay.
just it was filled with history. You know, the moai everywhere were just incredible. When you find out, you know, how they actually got them there, and you know how heavy they are, and all the rest of it. You know, real human ingenuity with, you know, rocks and bits of tree, you know, to move things around, and you know, handmade rope. But it was just such a lovely place. It was beautiful. I really like rocky landscapes. You know, I like islands that have rocky landscapes, and Easter Island was filled with that, and obviously kind of volcanic craters, and you know, there were the architecture of the land, if you like, was just really interesting. The historical element was wonderful, but it was just such a peaceful place. From the moment we set foot on the island, it just felt peaceful, which was just wonderful. And we saw, because the island that Moana is from in the Disney film,
Yes.
what's it called? Motunui or something, is just off Easter Island, and it's about that big.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's about this big. Well, it's a bit bigger than that, but it's not big enough to live on. It just happens to be the name of a rocky outcrop, if you like, sticking up out of the sea just off Easter Island. But we were able to, you know, we went to, it was part of a tour that we did, so we were able to see it. But yeah, it was just a magical place, and we saw turtles in the sea, like in the harbour, and you know, tried some interesting food, and went and saw traditional dancing, and you know, it was just, everything about it was just wonderful. So I would love to go back there, just because it was so peaceful, and loved everything about it. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I love traveling. I love exploring. I've been fortunate enough to do quite a lot of traveling in my life, and I was born in Zimbabwe and lived in Africa numerous times. And my dad was an agricultural specialist. So we lived in places that you wouldn't, probably most people wouldn't choose to go on holiday. So that inspired in me, you know, a real love of kind of unusual places, and well, just places really. I just love. I'm naturally curious. So I love, and I'm not very good at being a tourist, in the sense that I like to explore, you know, kind of in my own way. So I'm not very good at doing, you know, going on guided tours every now and then. And actually, when I do them, I kind of really enjoy them. My my youngest son and his wife are on their honeymoon in New Zealand at the moment, and are sending back. I have been to New Zealand once.
Oh, see, I'd love to go. Yeah.
Oh, and they're just sending back the most just exquisite photographs, and they've been doing, you know, they've been hot air ballooning, and they've been off-roading, and they've been whale watching, and they've just seen the most amazing, and the water. What I remember from New Zealand is the color of the water and the rocks, because you know, of just, and the people are just amazing people. I had such a wonderful time in New Zealand, and I say, because they're there at the moment, they keep sending me pictures. I've got a bit of kind of, I'm like, oh, I'd really like to get back there.
Holiday envy.
But I'd also really like to go to South America, because my friend's son is in traveling at the moment in South America, and they also keep sending the most amazing photographs about. They've just been on they've just sailed from Panama round to Colombia, I think, or some. My geography's not great, but it just just looks amazing. So, and I've never been to South America, any part of South America. So, I would love to do a kind of South American trip.
Yeah,
Would be my
absolutely. Yeah,
would be
we did
on my bucket list.
Yeah, we did when we went to Easter Island. We did Chile, Easter Island, and Brazil, Rio.
Oh, so I could pop to Easter Island when I do. I'll add that to my list. It sounds lovely.
It's just a bit of a hop from Chile. Yeah, definitely worth putting on your bucket list. Right. Well, I think we've asked all the questions, because my last one was pretty much the same as yours. So I guess it's time to wrap things up and say ta-ta to people. Tracy did say she had to dash. So if you watch the end back, Tracy, thanks for tuning in the first place. And thank you to everyone that's tuned in, and anyone that tunes in on replay.
And we seem to have got really nicely to our kind of just before 40 minutes. So we've done well again. So I think we should, congratulate ourselves on that. Yeah. And as ever, Rachel, it's been it's an absolute joy.
It really is. My face hurts from grinning. It's all good. It's all good.
And we find out that it's really interesting, isn't it? What you find out about people and and their experiences and their lives. So
we'd love questions from viewers, wouldn't we? We'd love random mystery questions from anyone that watches. So we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. So start thinking about your questions.
And I don't know what the date is, because I haven't looked.
I have my phone to hand. I will check the date. So it will be Wednesday, the 19th of April at 12:30 sharp. So we shall
marvelous. That would be wonderful.
I look forward to seeing you, Jenny.
Lovely. And if I don't see you before, Rachel, I will see you then.
Indeed. Have a wonderful Easter, both to you, Jenny, and to everyone that's watching, and take good care of yourselves.
So yes, exactly. Have a great time, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.